Viewer from Young America wants us to talk about transportation. The roads are horrendous in her area. Thinks semi-trucks should be made to pay more since she thinks they damage the roads more. We've got questions about the gas tax. Some are for it and some are against it. And we've got a viewer from Todd County who thinks that rural areas don't have buses and light rail and shouldn't have to pay as much to support those modes of transportation. That should cover the waterfront. So let's talk about transportation. Senator Nino, we'll start with you.
Well, I've never generally been supportive of a gas tax. I think there's other ways we can find resources to put into our infrastructure, but particularly for someone who represents a rural, ex-urban district like I do, the people that I represent are driving. It is not uncommon to drive 60 miles one way to get to work, and that is just a killer. To add another 10 or 12 or 15, whatever the gas tax would be that the proposal would be. I don't see much support for that from the people that I represent. Some do. Obviously, there's both sides to every issue. When you're representing 30 or 60 or 70,000 people, there's at least that many opinions. There is, especially when you get more out of the core metropolitan area, you get out into areas like where I represent, the exurbs and the suburbs in rural Minnesota, and even in some of the suburban areas where you represent, the people don't want the trains. There are certain corridors where they make sense, but what they're looking for is good, reliable roads that are taken care of in the wintertime and that they can drive on in the summertime. And that's what I'm hearing certainly from the people that I represent and from probably the majority of Minnesota. But the challenge we're going to face there in the Senate is the transportation chairman is from the heart of Minneapolis, and they love trains down there. So we'll see what the House can do.
Well, I don't think that you're going to see a gas tax increase out of this legislature. I just don't see it happening. I know that everybody's trying to keep their powder dry and not say that they're going to pass a tax or a gas tax or a sales tax at the wholesale level, those kinds of things. But I just don't see it happening. I just don't see the appetite in the majority of the House. It's not going to happen. Now, it could come down to some kind of negotiated deal at the end of session, but I don't think it will. But this is going to be the contentious issue in the session and how we're going to get out of this budget situation at the end of session. It will come down to transportation and what kind of a package we're going to have. Now, in my area, with outer ring suburbs, just south of Senator Nino's area, just recently, just this past fall, we have, for the first time, buses out to my district, and it's an express bus that comes up Highway 65 up to as far as East Bethel. Mm-hmm. It stops at the East Bethel Theater, and people just love it. They love it, and I think they would even pay more to continue riding this bus. It's kind of an experiment right now, but these folks love that bus, and they don't want to see it go away. And those are the kind of things that we should be doing. Not trains, more buses, fix the roads, make lanes for buses. That's the direction we should be going. It's much cheaper. We shouldn't be doing the trains. And that's what I hear from my constituents.
On the question of this viewer from Young America was concerned about trucks. Has there been discussion about trucks and the damage they do to the roads, and what, if anything, do we do about that?
I'd like to elaborate on something that federal legislation did to the city of Minneapolis, and I don't know if people are really realize what's happening, but they closed the lock and dam, or they're going to close the lock and dam in North Minneapolis. This is going to be a huge problem.
And that's as a result of the invasive species issue.
Well, they use that as an excuse.
Right.
They use that as an excuse, and I've been working on the invasive carp issue for a long time. We could have put up some electric carp barriers that do work. They've been put in a number of different locations in the state of Minnesota, and carp are not getting through those electric barriers. These will work at the lock and dams. They've been proven to work. We could have put these in, very inexpensive. Instead, they took a different route. They closed the lock and dam not to keep the invasive carp out, but more to turn North Minneapolis and the river frontage along in North Minneapolis into a park. And that's really what they want to do, and that's the ultimate goal. So there was federal legislation that closed the lock and dam, unheard of. Unheard of. I talked to federal legislators that said this will never happen. I said this is the direction they're going to go. Watch out for it. But they did it anyway. So now that lock and dam is closed, or going to be closed, and that's going to put, if you know what's located north of that lock, it's the Condurator is up there where they do the metal crushing and shredding. All of that work is going to go up on, not in barges anymore, but now up onto the road. And then more importantly is the gravel that's there. That aggregate is now going to be coming up onto the roads and pounding the heck out of those roads, and that's going to be a huge cost to the state of Minnesota. Not just, it's going to be destroying the roads in Minneapolis, it's going to be destroying the roads in Minnesota, and I don't think anyone thought about that at the time, but that's what we've got, and that's what we're going to be dealing with now, is all of those truckloads of aggregate, all those truckloads of that shredded metal now up on the roads. It's going to be devastating.
And nothing the legislature is likely to do about it in this session.
Well, you know, I think those folks have come in and talked to me. They would like to relocate, and but because of the federal legislation and because the city of Minneapolis and Minneapolis Park Board want this to take place, they're looking for some help to relocate. And I think we should do something like that. Otherwise, it's going to cost us a lot more money in road repairs.